For the latest on those negotiations, let's bring in France 24's Irris Makler in Jerusalem. Irris, what's the latest you've been hearing on the talks in Cairo?
The news isn't good, I guess you'd have to say, Jeannie, because what we've been hearing is that, as we flagged yesterday, the positions between the two parties are pretty far apart. So what Hamas wants is an end to the conflict, and then it'll negotiate a hostage deal. What Israel wants is the release of its most vulnerable hostages, the old, the wounded, the sick, the women and children. That's about 40 people, and it wants them immediately in return for a truce. And at the moment, what we're hearing out of Cairo is that the talks are not really getting anywhere, and that we've heard from various Hamas leaders and just seen a Hamas statement reiterating their position. They want a proper, full-on end to the conflict. If you want a sign on the ground, there was almost 48 hours, more than 36 hours, where there was no rocket fire from Gaza into Israel. And now today we've seen rocket fire again, and within the last 20 minutes, a barrage of rockets from Gaza into central Israel, or the area around Tel Aviv. So I would say that's a sign, if you read the runes here, that the talks are not going well.
Irris, all of this, of course, comes as the humanitarian situation in Gaza is only getting worse day by day. What's the latest from there?
Yes, we are hearing a confirmation of a report we had yesterday, which is that the last remaining hospital in the north of the Gaza Strip, the Al-Ahli hospital, no longer is able to serve people because it can no longer function. And we've heard from the World Health Organization that is a very significant problem. There are not the huge numbers of civilians that used to live in the north of the Gaza Strip any longer. They've moved south. But there are some civilians left, and there's no functioning health care for them any longer there in the north. And, you know, there are still bombs dropping. There's intense fighting. If they decide now that they want to go south, that's a very complicated thing to organise. There'll have to be a humanitarian pause for them to do that. We have also heard from Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, and he has said, he's reiterating the UN position, which is this: it's very difficult to deliver aid due to the fact that there's limited fuel, there's almost no electricity, there's disrupted communications, and of course there's still bombs dropping. We've just heard this morning about airstrikes in the south of the Gaza Strip. We know that there's that the fighting in Khan Yunis, which Israel says is a Hamas stronghold, is intensifying today. So for all those reasons, the UN is saying it is absolutely crucial to have, in the first instance, a humanitarian ceasefire, a pause, so that aid can be delivered in a functional way. But in the longer term, of course, the UN is arguing for a ceasefire altogether, so that normal life can start to return to the torn up Gaza Strip.
Irris, thank you for that. France 24's Irris Makler, they're reporting from Jerusalem.